who are the religious leaders, from the emir, from the bishops, from whoever they can.
Some of our village markets, there are people, they call them in Hausa yang nakama. They are like agberu in the markets.
Whatever anything is not useful to you is not important to you.
Politics.
What happened in Benue might be political. It still has an undertone, not political, dated way back. If you follow history.
It's interactive.
Not part of Nigeria.
Okay.
And it will not be good for us.
When they gather their people, they tell them, these Hausa people are your enemies. When the Hausas gather together, they tell them, these Igbo people are your enemies. When the Yoruba people gather together, they say the same thing.
Who are we? We are just from the background. And today, we are here in TSTV. And that is why we must propagate our own.
National Discourse, weekdays on NCTV.
Good morning, Nigeria, and welcome to National Discourse. Now, we are aware that we've been experiencing incessant killings as a nation. And of course, there was a protest that was staged by CAN in Ondo State on Sunday. You know, they're trying to express themselves on the killings. And of course, CAN is the umbrella body of Christian Association of Nigeria, where Christians actually hide under. So they are coming up to make their voice heard that Christians are being killed in Nigeria. And they're linking it up to the statement that was issued by Trump to Buhari that they will no longer tolerate the killings of Christians in Nigeria. Today, we are looking at incessant killings in Nigeria, who are the most affected. I still remain your host, Uche Uduma. To me, in the studio with me is Mr. Ayuba Ilya, who will do justice to this topic. So please stay tuned after the break.
Welcome to National Discourse.
Current affairs.
We must not extricate anybody from corruption. If any one of them is found wanting, the due course and the law must take its course.
Nation building.
Administration is slightly different from the last one in the fight against corruption. We need to really task our leaders, who are the religious leaders, from the emir, from the
Who are we? We are just from the background. And today, we are here in TSTV. And that is why we must propagate our own.
National Discourse, weekdays on NCTV.
We have had attacks in mosques, in churches. We've had attacks in marketplaces. This is a place where everybody goes to. We have attacks in some other public places. But if you look closely and you've been following the events, the truth is that we have had more attacks in I don't want to take any sides, but we have more attacks in areas where you have the Christian population, mostly, especially if you talk about attacks in Benue State, for instance. most of the villages, or if you talk about attacks in Plateau State, for instance, this is not to say that there are no attacks in other places, but anybody who has been following the events, if you've been following the attacks, if you've been following the things that have been happening, you will definitely know that one section of the country is actually mostly affected, yes, by these killings.
Okay, while our president visited the American president Donald Trump, he issued a statement which have brought up so many.
Somebody like Donald Trump would say such a thing. Of course, you expect reactions to trail that kind of statement. Even though we wouldn't expect President Donald Trump to actually make it categorical like that and put it as though it is only Christians that are being affected by the attacks. But we expect that for somebody like him, if you are to make such a statement, you just make a general statement. Just to save us the reactions that will follow. But then, like I said earlier, if you look at the attacks, you know that of course it's targeted at a particular people. It's because in Benue State, for instance, if you look at the number of people that have been attacked and the villages, if you check, what's the Christian population there? What's the Muslim population there? All right. So not only Benue State, we have other attacks in other places. Even if you are talking about attacks in Borno State or in Adamawa State, most of the time it is the Christian population that is mostly being affected. Yesterday there was an attack in Adamawa State, in Mubi precisely, although it was in a mosque. But we know that most of the times the target is one section of which is very, very unfortunate, actually. And this is why the president needs to prove a point at this point, that he is a president for all and not for a section of a people. He needs to prove that point very clearly, beyond every reasonable doubt. And that is the only reason, and that's the only thing that can give confidence to the people and make them feel that, yes, we are not only
talking about.
And
okay.
don't forget this issue of the abducted Dapchi schoolgirls, where we still have Leah Sharibu, who is still, in captivity, and what was the reason that was given? That is because she was a Christian, and that was why she was being held back. So till now, we are yet to know what the government have been doing in that regards, but we expect that plans are on ground. We expect that the government is still negotiating. We hope that very, very soon we will see the release of Leah Sharibu. And then these are the only things, these are the signs, these are the little things that the president can do that will really, because before now, I would say that one of the things that have risen to our disadvantage in Nigeria is our being religious sensitive. Nigeria is a very religious country, where if you want to see a divide, even as I'm talking, I'm being very careful with the way, because
very careful because
misconstrue whatever comes out of it. It's very, very easy. So it's
killings. It's not stopping.
Yeah.
There's no ceasefire anywhere. It's just continuous.
Yeah.
From the time we started experiencing this till now, I would want to take us back to when this government was coming in power. Part of the promises they gave to Nigerians is that in 3 months they were going to subdue Boko Haram. That they're going to lay to rest Boko Haram insurgency. Now, till now, we are still experiencing bombings and other activities. And then at the middle of all this, we saw an upsurge of another group called the Fulani Herdsmen in quotes.
Yes, in quotes.
And then these people have been perpetrating these crimes, back to back without any stoppage.
Yes.
Now the question is, do you think the government have done enough to, relax these things? Or do you think it's beyond the government's intervention?
Well, saying government have not done enough will be unfair to the government, but at the same time, we are expecting more. We want to see more action. All right, the trip that the president went in, I'm sure that one of the issues that were tabled was the issue of security, and there have been previous efforts by government. Even the issue of purchasing a Tucano fighter jet, which caused an uproar in the National Assembly and so on, is all in as part of efforts to to combat terrorism and all of that. So I think day before yesterday, the Nigerian Air Force reported that they received 2 helicopters to fight terrorism, and then some other efforts here and there. But then we are still asking for more. The government is doing its best, but we want to see more, because the speed of killings is unprecedented. Is something that we need to see more action, and that's just the truth about it.
Now, looking at where we are now, we are still battling with these people. Apart from religious sentiment, all right, because the truth is, let's look at Boko Haram, for example. When it started as probably, they said the meaning of Boko Haram is what? No Western education is forbidden, or whatever.
Forbidden, yeah.
But looking at it, it seems to have gone past that. Now, away from the religious angle, what are other reasons that we are actually experiencing this right now? What are the other reasons that you think people get engaged in this? Because I don't see the reason why. Someone wakes up and he accepts certain money, and then that certain money you're accepting your death warrant. You know you're going to die, or you know your son or your daughter is going to die, because certain bombs or whatever is going to be wrapped around the son or the daughter or yourself, and then by the time you're going to detonate this, you die in the process. Why is it that people are still in this fight till now?
Well, first I would say that there are so many reasons that analysts have given. One of them is that is in a bid to conquer and dominate. Some have said that it is ethnic cleansing, right? Now, if you look at it, it's not far from the truth, because it seems like a group is being targeted. So I will tell you that, in my own opinion and observation, I feel that it's not far from the truth that a certain group is being targeted, and that that dominance, one group in the country wants to dominate the other group by instilling fear, and then so that it will be easy to take over, their territory. That's my opinion.
And then
because
this is being done, like the statement that Trump released,
yes,
that is targeted as Christians, which the Muslim community have reacted.
Yes.
But we keep saying that these actions do take place irrespective of where.
Yeah.
Like the last one that happened yesterday was in the mosque.
Yes.
Which means it's not from this group,
yes,
so to say.
Yes.
Like it's being targeted at everywhere, market,
yeah,
churches, and the mosques.
Yeah.
So how can we unravel the mystery behind this?
Let me just make a comment on. Let me leave Boko Haram on one side, or let me take the issue of herdsmen. We've been hearing herdsmen. I am beginning to think that, and even security operatives have confirmed see it that as a new tactic by Boko Haram insurgents to actually spread across the country, because it has been very difficult for them. It has been very difficult to actually come out as Boko Haram and then, enter into places without being noticed or without being, apprehended. So I want to see it as a new tactic by Boko Haram, and security agencies should take this very seriously. Perhaps this herdsmen that we are talking about, herdsmen, it could be actually be Boko Haram, devising another means, of attacking people in communities. Otherwise, I see no reason why. If you say herdsmen farmers clash, what's the correlation between a herdsman going into the kill the whole family? Let's not just keep shoving it as though it's farmers herders clash. If you say farmers herders clash, then it is expected that the thing took place in the farm. Because I am not seeing the correlation. If you say it is a farmer herders clash, then it could be either as a result of maybe the herdsman enter into the farm of someone
and then
trying
kills
to
the person he finds there,
and then kills the person to eat the crop or something like that. Or maybe the farmer feels encroached and then he's trying to fight back or defend himself, and then that should be farmer herders
should be
clash.
Extended to their homes.
But not when you attack people's houses, burn it down, enter into a whole community or a village, burn it down, or go to a church and attack, killing reverends, killing church members, and we describe it as farmer herders clash. It's not it.
Okay, now we have experienced this for a while now, and of course we are talking about Nigeria as a community. We're talking about the growth and development of Nigeria as a nation. Now, part of what our president went there to talk about, the security of the nation. While this is happening, what are the effects of these incessant killings to our economy?
The effects are unquantifiable. You can't quantify it. You can't quantify it because I have lived partly in Maiduguri State and in Borno State, and I've seen how the whole insurgency affected, economic activities. And there are places that you don't dare go to now. These are places that were booming economically before the beginning of the insurgency. Like Baga, for instance. Baga all over this country is known as a place where, fishermen go there to get fish, and they sell. They make a lot of money out of it. They do business and they make a lot of money. But since the beginning of this insurgency, the place is only a shadow of itself. You can't go there now because of the insurgency. You'll be attacked or you'll be killed. And for people, for the fear of their lives, automatically will not go there. The same thing applies to the herdsman issue. Who will go to the farm now knowing that his life is in danger?
And we're actually talking about diversifying the economy.
Diversifying the economy.
From oil sector to agricultural sector.
So the agricultural sector is suffering under this kind of, and once you have the agricultural sector suffering, automatically it affects the economy. Because if we are talking about diversification and we are talking about how crude oil have been unstable, recently, and how Nigeria's economy is dependent on oil, definitely you are going to have instability, because what we are supposed to be producing agriculturally will no longer be able to do that. And so it has great impact on our economy.
Okay, let's talk about the path of investors coming in, because we know that ever since this happened or started happening, so many people have pulled out. So many international communities have pulled out, and so many businesses have been crumbled within or outside Nigeria. You know, how can we curb this menace? Because it's eating deep into our society and it's causing more harm than good. What are the measures, palliative measures we're going to take to ensure that there's a stop to this, or it's been reduced to a reasonable minimum? But that we'll consider. We'll go for a short break and we come back so we can be able to take your calls. Please stay with us.
Welcome to National Discourse.
Current affairs.
We must not extricate anybody from corruption. If any one of them is found wanting, the due course and the law must take its course.
Nation building.
Administration is slightly different from the last one in the fight against corruption. We need to really task our leaders, who are the religious leaders, from the emir, from the bishops, from whoever they can.
Some of our village markets, there are people, they call them in Hausa young nakama. They are like agberu in the markets.
Whatever anything is not useful to you is not important to you.
Politics.
What happened in Benue might be political. It still has another tone, not political, dated way back. If you follow history.
It's interactive.
Not part of Nigeria.
Okay.
And it will not be good for us.
When they gather their people, they tell them, these Hausa people are your enemies. When Hausas gather together, they tell them, these Igbo people are your enemies. When the Yoruba people gather together, they say the same thing.
Who are we? We are just from the background. And today we are here in TSTV. And that is why we must propagate our own.
National Discourse. Weekdays on NCT.
All right, we'll come back from that short break. Before we went for the break, we said we are going to consider the way forward. What are the measures we're going to put in place as a nation? Because this is not a government fight alone. They can't keep fighting this battle alone. Now, as a society, as the entire citizenry of Nigeria, what are the measures you think from the government side and from our own side to ensure that this is being reduced or is being stopped?
Well, yesterday, in an interview with Voice of America, the president said that he has approved the recruitment of 6,000 more policemen and armed forces, security operatives. While that is a welcome idea, we applaud the president for that. We expect not just to have troops, but they should be able to have what they should work with. And we should be able to have men that are willing to stand and fight. Not, for instance, some time ago, we had the president lamenting when he went to Benue State that after he has ordered the IGP of police to go to Benue after certain killings at that time, the IGP did not stay in Benue State. And for me, then I took that statement as, you are trying to shift blames, or are you now reporting the IGP to Nigerians that I have given him the mandate, but he didn't do that? That's what it means. So let's stop the blame game. Let's be sincere. Let's stop the blame game and be sincere. Face these things headlong and nip it in the bud.
Talking about the blame game, I think going back to the fight against corruption, I know that is not what you're talking about, but that blame game has been very, very consistent.
Yeah.
Like something happens now and it's being referred back to the past administration.
Yes.
So I think that too is affecting this other side.
Yes.
We're talking about incessant killings in Nigeria.
Yes.
And going back to what you're bringing up regarding the IGP that was supposed to go to Benue State.
Yes.
So stopping the blame game is a welcome development,
Yes.
if only we can buy that idea, as a government.
Yes.
If only a government
Yes.
can buy that idea.
Yes. And again, although some people have, some top people, prominent people in Nigeria, have recommended self-defense, for these incessant killings.
How is that going to help us?
That is very, very dangerous.
Because if you say everybody should carry arms.
Yes, if you say self-defense, then you're just saying, you're inviting anarchy, you know. So, but what I would just recommend is that people be more vigilant, you know, and be more security sensitive, be more security cautious. Wherever you see any movement, suspicious movement, wherever you see anything that is abnormal, please report. You know, within us, you can set up vigilante groups, you know, that can be, you know, going around, you know, and then be able to have a link or communication with the security operatives. And then beyond that, we should also have security operatives standing by. If possible, I know that it's going to be very difficult all across the country, but there are areas that we know that these attacks have been going on for some time. They call it flashpoint or something like that. You can make provision for a a team of security operatives to be there on standby at all times, so that if there is any move or any suspicious movement, the people can really easily communicate with the security operatives, and then an action will be taken. That's what I will. And then, like I said, sincerity is very important. If not, we cannot be able to fight this. If government cannot be seen to be up and doing in this fight, I am telling you that people will resort to self-defense. People are going to resort to,
that's part of the pictures of the protest, protest that took place on Sunday in Ondo State. You know, there we saw CAN as a body, come out en masse to, talk about why Christians are being killed. That why is it that Christians is only Christians and all that, and then trying to link it up to what Trump said, which like I said earlier, have trailed a lot of reactions from the Muslim community saying it is not just the Christians that are affected, that it was a bad statement and all that coming from Donald Trump. Yeah. So that was just the video there. Now, still talking about the security that we are actually looking at. What happens to our borders? Why is our border so porous? Okay. You can actually call out now. We can be able to, pick your calls now.
All right. Before I talk on the borders, you see, this protest, these are signs. There have been protests before now. People have protested, right? But we need to know that government need to do. People in places of influence and responsibility needs to know that we are just sitting on a keg of gunpowder. The day is going to explode. Everybody is going to be in for it. So these are signs. The other time it was Shiites. In fact, their own have even escalated to a point where they are even, having clashes with security operatives.
You're talking about the protest that took place here in Abuja?
Yes, the one in Abuja here, some time ago in Maitama area. Their own has even, escalated to the point where they exchanged tear gas with the police.
And very soon
they are resisting. Yes, they are resisting all of this. So these are signs that people are getting fed up. People are getting tired. If you don't take the necessary action, if you don't ensure the enforcement of law and order, if you don't make people feel, that they are being justified, if you don't make people have confidence in the security apparatus that we have, if people begin to see government as being partial and one-sided, then you are inviting anarchy, because eventually people are going to resort to self-defense, and when they do that, you are not going to be able to contain it. So the earlier the better. Our government needs to be seen as fair. They need to be seen, as being objective and balanced in their decisions and in their policies, and especially as regards security. And then when you talk about our borders, I have heard the president time without number say that the herdsmen attacks and the people responsible are migrants from Libya, people who have been trained.
And they don't carry arms. They don't carry AK-47. The only thing they carry is their water bottle and probably most times, like he said, dagger.
And even in this U.S. visit, the president still associated the herdsmen attacks to the former leader of Libya, Muammar Gaddafi, and some of his people. So I would just say that, well, if we have seen that this is a possible problem or possible reason why this is happening, why don't we put more men on the borders? Why don't we, for instance, now America is talking about building walls, right? I know we in Nigeria we may not be able to do that, but at least we should have men at the borders. Let there be more, strictness as regard how people come in and out of this country, especially in those Borno, like Chad axis, and some other parts of Niger and all of that, our borders between Niger and Nigeria and Cameroon and Nigeria and so on.
Sorry,
we should be able to have more security apparatus.
Hello, good morning to you.
Hello.
Good morning to you. Please, your name and where you are calling from.
Yes, Suhail Muhammad.
Sorry? Can you please tune down the volume of your TV set? Can you tune down the volume of your TV set?
Okay.
All right. Please, your name and where you are calling from, please.
Yes, my name is Suhail Muhammad.
Okay.
Yes, I'm calling from Kano.
You're calling from Kano, okay. Okay.
Yes.
Can you go on with your contribution, sir?
Yes, actually, my contribution has to do with this particular topic, the issue of incessant killing.
Yes, sir.
It's actually, it's very unfortunate. People are dying day in, day out. But unfortunately, instead of for us as a people, to unite and fight this particular we usually actually resort to issues of religious bigotry, which hunting each other, It is very unfortunate that we found ourselves in this particular situation. Honestly speaking. Yesterday, I was actually watching MTA.
Okay.
Yes, they were making a kind of a documentary as to the arrival of the.
Okay, thank you very much. This is the much we can take from you. Okay, now his own solution is unity.
Yeah.
All right? That we can't move anywhere except to unite ourselves as a country.
Yes.
Because the issue of religion, like you said, is a very sensitive one.
Very, very sensitive.
And any comment or statement that is made towards the direction must be misinterpreted.
Yes.
So we should become careful with the kind of things we say. And then if we must achieve this, there must be unity of purpose, and then there must be sincerity of purpose. I think that's a point he's trying to raise there.
Yes, exactly. And just like I've been saying, this issue of sincerity, the truth is that government is a government of the people. It is the government of all the people, irrespective of religious divide, irrespective of political divide.
Okay.
Right? And it must be seen as such.
Okay.
All right? It must be seen as such because failure to do so, if the people don't have that confidence, like I said, definitely you cannot achieve that unity. People will not be united. The president must be seen to be partial, because I remember there was a statement attributed to the president some time ago where I think it was one of the trips abroad where the president was saying that you don't expect people who voted him, almost 95% to get
the kind of
the kind of attention, the kind of treatment that people who voted him with only 5% will get. So, such kind of statements from a leader, we know that in Nigeria, like I said earlier, is a very religious setting, and that division, along these lines have been there for ages. But if you've been following events carefully, you will notice that there seems to be an upsurge in the kind of comments that people make, especially on social media. In the past government, I don't think we have such, upsurge in making hate speech, like we call it, and all those kind of statements that are stereotypic and statements that are one-sided. We have them, but it's not to the level at which we have it right now.
What we had then was hate speech that we actually targeted to the past president, if you can remember very well. But we didn't have the one that is just among us.
People, exactly.
Yes, as a nation.
So that's a call for to have a rethink. It calls for a rethink, to people in authorities, to people in government.
Hello, we lost it.
So government must be, like I said, I'm emphasizing on this because even the unity we are talking about, unity is not going to be achievable if people don't have confidence and believe that we are on the same page. If you are seen to be having some kind of personal interest or motive, then people cannot trust you with their lives.
At this point, this is a year or a few months to electionary year, what is the effect of what is happening now towards our democracy? We're talking about election that's coming up next year. What effect do you think this will have on the upcoming election?
For me, it will have...
Sorry, before then, let's pick this call. Hello.
Hello, this is Raphael calling from Lagos.
Sorry, your name?
Raphael.
Raphael from Lagos.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Your contribution, sir.
The problem of Nigeria started from the House of Assembly. The problem of Nigeria itself started with the House of Assembly. Why the president is making an effort to pass some law into correction? They will refuse. They will say it's not relevant. Why is it like that? Why are we killing ourselves in our own country? Is it supposed to be like that in our own country? It's not making sense. There's no sense in it. When House of Assembly is knowing what is going on in Nigeria to put action, they will refuse to put action. Why is it like that? It's not fair. We are killing ourselves. We are helping ourselves. We are not helping.
Oh, we lost that call. Thank you very much. I think... Okay.
I'm hearing you.
Okay. Are you done?
I'm done.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. We do appreciate your point. Thank you. All right, thank you very much. You got that point. But the point I actually want us to clear up is, he said the president does not have any power. Yeah. I want you to react to that.
Well, it's not like the president doesn't have any power. But like I said, we have a system in place. We have a government which comprises of the legislative arm, the executive, and the judiciary. Now, the way it was fashioned in the Constitution is that all of these three arms of government work together in synergy. They work in collaboration with each other. And once you have a clash, either by virtue of maybe high-handedness on one side, you definitely have a problem. All right. So they are supposed to checkmate each other. They are supposed to work and complement each other's effort in whatever that is being done. So it's not like the president doesn't really have any power, but I would just see it from the perspective that yes, there are political undertones to all of this, and it's very unfortunate that our politicians are taking these things for granted, using it to play politics. We'll still come to the issue of 2019 and how the whole security
Okay,
issue.
now quickly, there's a point that he raised.
Yeah.
He said there are laws that are due for amendment, or the amendments have been approved, but the people at the assembly have refused to implement that. How possible is that?
Is it about, I don't think that it's about laws. The problem of fighting insurgency, or for security, I don't think it has to do, if you look at our laws, it's not like Nigeria doesn't have enough laws.
But
Most implementation. Of the implementation have been the problem. Implementation has been our problem for so long. So we have enough laws that will take care of it. The only thing that I can say is that maybe in the terms of approving funds.
Can we take this call? Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you. Please, your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Amici. I'm calling from Anambra.
Okay. Please, can you go on?
I don't have much contribution. I'm enjoying the program and the topic of discussion. And I want you also to help tell government that they should stop playing politics with people's lives.
Okay.
They have in hand with all the killings in Nigeria, the ones in February, the ones in just I don't have much to say again.
All right. Thank you very much. Is still politically minded, and
Yes.
according to him, that the government, according to him, they are trying to play politics with people's lives and all that. So that you should help him, tell the government to stop that. So I don't know how you're going to model that up, because time is really not on our side.
Yeah, okay. Let me just make a quick comment on the issue of the security at hand and our democracy, its effect on our democracy. There are two effects. It's all the issues are intertwined. Issue of religion, religious bigotry, issue of democracy, and the issue of killings here and there and so on. Now, some are actually making money out of this current situation. There is no doubt about it. There are people that are specialists in this area. And then, to some people, the unrest and the security, challenges will actually be a stepping stone for them when it comes to the 2019 election. So,
but talking about the popularity of a government, now anyhow we want to look at it, like from the second to the last caller that said the president is making effort. We know and we acknowledge that, but the truth is a government takes the blame for every actions or inactions of its citizenry, even whatever thing that takes place in his nation.
Yes.
So every blame goes back to the president.
Yes.
And then looking at him coming back again for 2019, how do you think that's going to affect the popularity of his government?
Well, it is degrading, it is depreciating the popularity of this government on a daily basis. The issue of each day there's a killing, someone is affected.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
If it's not your cousin, it's your...
There must be a link.
There must be a link. It's from your state. Even if you are not related, it's somebody from your state.
And
or
then anytime a
it's
market
a Nigerian.
is burnt, some people are affected too.
Yes, some people. So by day, the popularity of this government is dropping, and that action needs to be taken.
Can we take the last call? Hello.
Good morning, National Discourse.
Yeah, good morning to you. Your name and where you're calling from, please, quickly.
I am Audu calling from Taraba.
Okay.
So I've been listening to a program and the result that is speaking very well concerning the instant killing in Taraba and but if the federal government are aware that these Fulani men are carrying that kind of admission and they allow them to move it about, and then we will now say that they are involved in the killing, they are aware, because it is difficult for them to clear these Fulani men who are killing people innocently, people who are harmless, then that means that they know something about it. Because the kind of gun that these Fulani men are carrying, who is giving them the gun? We all know that to buy an AK-47 is very expensive. You need how many cows to sell to buy an AK-47? For these people, you see them carry this AK-47 about like it's a granite. So it means that the government itself, or some people, some politicians, are playing politics with our life.
Okay.
What we want, we want the killing to stop. We want the killing to stop.
All right, thank you very much for calling Alfred from Taraba State. Thank you very much. All right, thank you. Thank you very much. And that's the last call we can take today. In the meantime, can you just throw some words to Nigerians? I know there's no time that will be enough for us to exhaust this.
Yes.
Probably we'll schedule another time to talk about this. So our time is fast spent. Can you just throw some words to Nigerians?
Well, what I would just say is that to other Nigerians out there is that we need to be security conscious. And one of the aim of these attackers
Exciting topics we're going to be talking about. You can follow our social media handles. They'll be rolling our screen to make your contributions so your voice to be heard. Like you said, as Nigerians, this affects us. I mean, regardless your ethnic group or your religious group and all that. So what do? Become security conscious. He have said it all. And let's not relegate this and say it is the some say is just the government's problem. But the truth is, if someone is killed, you're affected. If a market is burnt, you're affected. If a church is burnt, you're affected. If a mosque is burnt, you're affected. Whichever way, you're affected because you are Nigerian. And if we must have sincerity of purpose, you must have unity, of purpose of Nigerians. And if you're saying Nigeria should move forward, it becomes our responsibility as Nigerians to ensure that Nigeria moves forward and succeed and joins other developed nations. We can do this by being a neighbor's keeper, report any kind of suspicious movement to get in. On every side, you have security operatives all over. We can start by you, like this present government said, the change begins with you. If we must talk about security, it all begins with us. And that's a wrap from us on National Discourse. I still remain Uche Uduma. Catch you up next time. That's tomorrow. Same time, we'll be able to take all your calls on it. So bye-bye.